I was thinking before I hit the record button that I was going to start this thing with like a wail of lament or something. Just. Mm,
Yeah, a wail of lament.
Fucking baby.
I'm so surprised that this banner is the one that's giving one trouble.
It's not just this banner, it's this event. Like, I went for 400 quartz went towards Dantes. I didn't get anything. And then another 600 or so went towards BB.
Yeah. There's somebody in another server I'm in, they got NP5 Dantes. I'm like, what the heck? Another person got NP2. And then, yeah, everybody in that FGO, that, like, for the most part, everybody that wanted Dantes, I feel like they got him. Oh, that's weird.
Not me. I got 2 gills and then fuck all else.
Because, like, for me, I threw a ticket at the John banner, and I got just a single roll, and I got Ushi, who I wanted, so it's good. Then I got NP5XX and BB. I spent some money, but not too much. And I was like, oh, that's great. But yeah, no, it sounds like you're on a very bad streak right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Like I say, I went for Dantes, 400 quartz, got 2 gills early on, and then nothing for like almost all the rest of it. And then the BB banner came up, and I think in the first or second roll I got Double X and Maeve in the first 10 roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't say I got nothing, because I did get something, but I got nothing that was on rate up for the rest of my rolls, and that was like 600 quartz of rolls. I spent £200 on gacha over the past day.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I have never gotten anything I wanted from spending money on this game. Not a single thing. But I did get 2 copies of Waiver, so that's, technically not nothing. Didn't really need another support.
You got spooked twice by Waiver, I guess.
Yeah. Twice. Didn't even really need him once. But no, I got him twice.
I know somebody who got spooked by Ozzy 3 times. Just Kono Dioda multiple times.
Oh god, I didn't even fucking mention the worst bit. Fucking
what?
Rolling for Dantes, and I got an Avenger came up, and I'm like, yeah, and it's the fucking dog, and I'm like, ah. I changed my name to Dio Brando because I was gonna burn that fucking thing until people talked me down. That was a bad night too. It's this event has not been great for me. It's not. It's been really bad.
I had a whole BB Catalyst setup of one of my support setups being just characters from CCC and Extra, and I was in a call in another server with friends playing Fate music, and I would have, if I hadn't gotten her after spending money, I don't know what I would have done. So
can't imagine what that feels like.
Yeah, no, that I know. So that's why, I can't quite relate to your current state of mind. I'm kind of glad I'm not in it.
My current state of mind is looking at my various monetary accounts and seeing, Look at all that money that's in those from
Don't.
working my ass off for the past year. Just, it's there. Yeah, I've stopped. Like I say, not a single thing of what I want from spending money on this game. So why would I anymore?
Yeah, if you're really feeling, like you still want to keep doing it though, like there will be the weekly stuff, which will give you 3 quarts. There will be login stuff. Might as well just throw every single point you get. You never know.
Good fucking God.
And worst case scenario, next year, you know?
Yeah. I mean...
Maybe even GSSR.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna be rolling the fucking extra banner again for GSSR, so maybe, who knows. Fucking Christ.
Yeah. Like...
Because, hey, maybe then I'll get either Dantes or BB. Or maybe I'll get fucking Melt again in MP3.
That would actually be super good.
Like I say, I'm going to say it again. Not one time have I got something I really wanted from spending money on this game.
Then you get...
Not even the GSSR, because that's given me fucking MHX and fucking Melt NP2. A double. Fucking... Yeah, yeah. I'm a little bit salty, as people have commented before.
Hey, it's okay. You're frustrated.
Yeah.
Good to express that.
Me and Ryu, we're on the same wavelength right now. Fuck everything, basically. Oh, but hey, the fucking Waiver banner's next, so that's great. I can roll for him if I really want to.
Actually, what's next is there's going to be the download campaign, which has Architoria.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Nice as it would be to get a single target archer.
I did care until eventually I stopped caring.
Yeah, I'm just looking through what's coming up to roll for, and there's not that much that I care about for the rest of this year. I mean, Yumi Aoyu would be nice, but apparently you can get her with a 4-star ticket.
Yeah, so no reason to waste the SQ on her if you really want her.
Yeah. And I've already got Hercules, and he was the only other thing I was really being told to want, more than actually wanting.
He got buffed recently, so every time Guts activates, he gets Buster.
Yeah.
Yes, the equitable Guts, so...
There's the Chloe event, that's going to be a thing. I think that might be the only welfare that I don't have besides Caster Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah. Nobody has Caster Liz anymore except people who've been playing since the real old times.
Yeah.
It's like Caster Elizabeth and Santa Alter are two characters that I am missing, because I did have Santa Alter at one point on a previous account, but that account got messed up and now I don't have her, which is a shame.
Okay, the next thing that I actually won something from is in February, which is King Protea.
Yes, same. I'm also saving for King Protea.
And then
because I already have a Reshkigal, so I might just go a little bit to see if I can get an NP3, but other than that, I'm just King Protea.
Just scrolling through right now, just a bunch.
Because there's King Protea, Kama, and then Reigns right after another, and I want all 3 of them.
Yeah, it looks like King Protea, and then it's probably... Yeah, it looks like King Protea, and then uh, Demon King Nobu. So that's Guda 4 in July. And then we're back to BB. And Dantes. The pricks.
Well, I didn't roll at all for Dantes. Didn't really. I'm not that interested in him, you know? It doesn't really do anything for me necessarily. I mean, I guess for the meta, but, you know, I don't really care about the meta.
It would be very nice to be able to farm very, very easily. Farm anything very, very easily, but it does require setup that I don't quite have yet.
Also, I have NP3 Berserk a lot. So once I raise him up and get his skills up, I basically just have a Dante's alternative anyways if I really want to go that route.
It's been a bad week. This game for me.
Hey,
Not great. Not ideal.
you know, but sometimes you have those weeks.
Oh, there was another thing that maybe I want. Is this one thing I want? I don't think it is. Let me just look up what it is.
Okay.
No,
Looking
that's
up
not a thing I
what
want.
it is.
I was looking up karma. It's like, not really. I'm gonna be honest. It's mostly because it's a Sakura face. And
Yeah.
I felt like I should get all of those. I remember. I don't know whether I talked about it on the show or whether it was just us chatting when we were supposed to record, but no one showed up. It might have been the latter.
Probably the latter.
But like, because I had gotten all of the Sakura faces entirely accidentally up to that point, so I was like, yeah, maybe I should just get all of them. And then this happened.
Well, I have Passion Lip, and I have BB now. So, if we both work towards our Sakura face goals, we'll get there. You have Melt, I don't have Melt. So, let's team up for King Protea
Yeah.
and fight the good fight.
Go.
Gow. She's a raid boss.
Yeah.
She's a freaking raid boss.
Of course she is. Have you seen her?
Like,
Go.
the freaking. I'm just gonna keep getting HP and nullifying NP damage right now. Just. Yeah.
She's great. She's a delight.
great. I really want her. BB's animations are great, but boy does she neutral damage. Oof. But you know, she's there for the support, but still, like, neutral damage. Oof. I want her NP too. As incredibly unlikely as that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's more a vanity thing to get her than anything else, I guess. Sad as that is to say, given all of the money I spent on trying to get her and failing. Or maybe that's the salt just expressing itself as, I didn't even want her anyway, she sucks.
I mean, there's fun stuff you can do with her. It's not like she's terrible, but out of all the moon
yeah, if you're
cancers,
fighting Avengers, then you're great. But, you know.
she's good against Berserkers as well. She has a 50% battery.
just sad. Yeah. Okay. So proper intro for as far as that goes. Hey, Fandom Flux podcast, Daniel, whatever. But no one's here because I decided I needed sleep to record on Sunday, so Patient's not here, and Sice is not here because his state is a slightly deeper into the apocalypse than the rest of us because they've been in a storm that's knocked out the power.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're just kind of not really taking this as seriously as we usually do because we're usually the picture of professionalism. So I'm not turning my fan off. I'm leaving the windows open. I don't fucking care. Let's just whatever. Hi,
Very
everybody.
professional.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
We exist. And also, I'm grinding Fate Go because, like I say, I don't fuck everything.
This is what we've come to. So Casey.
Yeah.
I got recently a new job.
Yeah.
And somebody contacted me on one of those sites I've been put my voiceover stuff on, and it's basically creating like 10 to 20 second tech tutorial videos and creating a whole bunch of them, and it uses my face and my voice, and yeah, finally getting somewhere with that.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
I'm a little bit skeptical, so I've not been like going super hard on it. I want to see a paycheck first before I actually, because it's like work your own hours and everything. I'm like, let me see the money, and know that this is not going to be some sort of scam before I really start to work hard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if the guy contacts me, he's like, "Hey, why aren't you making a lot of videos?" I'm like, "Hey, just pay me for the work that I've done, so that I can go nutso and go ham." That's kind of where I'm at with that. And I started playing another gacha game because I hate myself. And I started playing Honkai Impact 3rd or 3.
Okay.
It is a 3D character action gacha game with it's not visual novel at all. It's like there's just actually no, it's a bit of visual novel sometimes, but it's all 3D models. The gacha selections are for characters and varieties of those characters. It's not like there's an overflow of different characters, but there's different stages and forms and types of those characters as they make story progress. This is them later on at this point or specialized for this thing, and it's fun. It's just fun to play. You don't have to spend money if you want to get characters, because there are some characters that are limited, but for the most part you can get fragments by doing missions and such, and those fragments can just unlock characters for you, and the game also likes to give you free characters. And any character can be upgraded from B to triple S tier. And when you go on hard mode, there is a style meter, which is nice. I felt like I was needing some sort of character action thing with perfect Bayonetta dodging and ultimate attacks and such, and this fills that niche.
The phone game?
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to turn on my Switch and load up something. I just want to play something free and cheap.
Yeah.
And that's fun. It helps me when I deal with the fact that I have no AP and FGO and I don't want to spend apples.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry to any of our listeners who don't play Fate Go, but I'm pretty sure they all left.
Yeah. That's fine.
This is fine. Fandom Flux is fine. Don't worry about it.
Fandom Flux got buggered. I already decided the name of this episode. Sorry.
I mean, you were the one who got buggered, not all of us.
It feels like it was all of us.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that most of the people in this podcast don't play FGO.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
Be buggered. Beybladed. Don't worry too much about it, Casey. It's not like she's gone forever or anything.
I'm sad and hot. It's boiling.
The way you phrase that, I'm sad and hot. I'm like, there's a lot I can say. That's a meta commentary for certain types of people.
Yeah, me, because I'm sad and also hot. Feel bad for me.
Well, I only have so much pity. You say, I spent 400 quartz on Dante's, and then I didn't get BB, and it's just like, I'm sorry? Luck was not on your side. It's like when everybody got Scotty, but the one of my friends who'd been saving up for almost a year, nope. Got spooked by Drake. Which I think that happened to Ryu too, with BB. Nope, got spooked by Drake.
Yeah, she's a bitch like that.
She's a pirate. She steals your booty.
So what else did you do? Anything cool?
I've been watching, rewatching, but for some friends watching for the first time, ReZero in a group. It's good. We watched 7 episodes the other day, and the 2 people in that call who had not seen ReZero before, super into it, which is nice.
Cool.
I did an evil cliffhanger in D&D in which I stopped the session right as one of the important NPCs that the characters cared about died mid-combat. I was like, no, it's too late. We'll pick it up next week, guys. Which
you're going to come back and they're going to have 8 ways to save that character, right?
Already dead. But you know what? It's fine. That character, I'm sure they will. They're a high-level party, and I'm expecting that. But I more so just want them to, having experienced this very complex fight, come in with plans for how to have the fight be less kick their buddy. Which, to be fair, they've been doing very well. They haven't really... no player has gone down yet. Which is nice.
You have such a way with words.
Yes, I know. I'm tired.
I know the feeling.
I don't think either of us is in our best condition right now.
No. Bad enough even outside of this thing that's very centered around me spending money, is also sorting out tax stuff. So that's fun. Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. This fan feels nice.
But you got the fan on you?
Yeah.
The Fandom Flux?
No. Everything sucks. Except this fan, it blows. It's wordplay.
Puns.
It's not a pun, it's wordplay. There's a difference.
I know, but I just said puns because I like puns as well. As wordplay.
Video games are good. It's nice.
Yeah, I logged into Animal Crossing on Sunday and I got to see fireworks.
Cool.
Because they have a fireworks event and everything, and you can submit the patterns that you have to be featured as like firework designs. And so I submitted the patterns that I had that were replicas of the paintings from Mario 64. So seeing those paintings explode as fireworks was really cool. Because, each different spark was colored individually to make the image in the sky. Which is something that you probably could never, ever, ever, ever do in real life. But you can do in a video game.
Yeah. Video games.
And then my character got balloons and, like, sparklers and a bubble blower. And I was like, it's nice to be outside. Wait. Oh.
When you say that, it's
We
kind
ordered
of
Chinese
overrated,
food
but,
for We ordered Chinese food for the first time in a long time, and it was so good.
Yeah. I can't help myself from ordering takeaway, to be honest. I had it like 4 times in a week a couple of weeks ago, and twice this week. I say this week, in the last 7 days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time has no meaning anymore.
Yeah. It's Tuesday, everyone, by the way, just to be clear, because I'm a bit too lackadaisical when it comes to actually releasing the podcast. Not that this is going to be a great podcast anyway, because, no fucks given. Maybe that should be the name of the episode. No flux given.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Oh, you know what we should do at some point?
That thing we were supposed to do like 3-4 weeks ago that we didn't.
Yeah.
How about we do that when it's not boiling so I can actually think.
Alright.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Keep me posted when you want to do that thing.
Yeah. It's hot.
I watched H-Bomber Guy's Ruby is Disappointing video.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. It's like, I agree with most of what he's saying.
Yeah. I don't remember a lot of it. It was like a 2-hour video or something, but yeah.
Yeah. Just, it sucks, They used to really like that show.
Yeah. After I forced you to watch it.
Yeah. And then it got intolerable. And just I'm not having fun watching this anymore.
Yeah. I actually remember us going through basically the same arc as he did with that show, which was it's fine. It's not great. There's something here that they could maybe do.
Yeah.
If they can get it off the ground. And then season 3 happens, and holy shit, this is actually really, really good. And then it wasn't anymore. And then it really wasn't anymore.
I haven't even looked at, like, what, season 6?
I watched season 6. Season 6 was decent. Not amazing, but decent.
It's just, for me, there's too many foundational writing flaws.
Yeah. I haven't watched season 7. I am currently writing 2
There's a season 7?
There's a season 7. I'm currently writing 2 Ruby Fix. I have not watched season 7 because I can't bring myself to. I've tried a couple times. I can't.
How bad is it?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually give an opinion on whether it's good or not.
Well, because I feel like it would have the same problem that season 4 did. Where, like, okay, reset the trilogy thing, back to slow building things up, and nothing happens.
Well, that's the thing. They're not really doing trilogies anymore, because the first 3 were a beacon. Then there were the 2 that were about Mistral and Haven. And season 6 and 7 are basically about fucking Atlas. So they're not really doing trilogies anymore. I don't know what the arc structure is anymore to replace the trilogy thing that they were supposedly doing. But, yeah.
Oh, that sucks. I actually was very interested in Atlas.
Yeah, it's...
Like, that was a place that was mysterious and had high tech and seemed like it had some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh no, did they ruin it?
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment with any kind of authority, but I've heard about what the plot elements are, which could be interesting if done well, and it seems like they didn't do them especially well. Like, you know the thing about the maidens? I'm going to spoil season 7 of Ruby now, by the way. From a position of not actually having watched it, but, picked it up by osmosis. You know the thing about maidens and stuff?
Yeah.
How they pass on their powers when they die. And they pass it on to the first girl that they think of, the last girl they think of before they die.
Mm-hmm.
So, the current Winter Maiden is an incredibly old lady who's basically on her deathbed.
How convenient. Okay.
And they don't want to outright kill her because that's evil, I guess. So, Ironwood is basically having Winter visit her on a regular basis so that when this old lady dies, the power gets passed on to Winter by default because she's the only woman that visits her.
That's pretty messed up, but okay.
As a concept, it's actually not bad as a storytelling device because it's...
Well, yeah, no.
It's
storytelling
very
device,
pragmatic, which is very to the tone of what Atlas is all about.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in that regard. I'm just saying, like, from the, like, okay, now I'm interested, and now I can, like, see why characters would have an issue with this. Right? There's, like, conflict over this, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, Cinder wants to steal the Winter Maiden powers because that's what her thing is. She wants to steal powers. I'm just going to double check this.
I can't... Because I can't imagine Team Ruby is just like, yeah, no, let's isolate this old lady, and so that when she dies, she just dies in isolation with only one person interacting with her.
Yeah, do you want to know what happens?
What?
Read the info block on that page.
Wait, what?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Oh, screw off.
Yep.
You don't...
Remember that really affecting moment at the end of season 3 that was really important and totally changed the tone of the show and set up the later events that would solidify that changed tone in the show? Yeah, it's completely undone. Yeah. That's, who cares?
I'm so mad right now. I'm so mad. I don't think I've ever felt this mad at a fictional cartoon show. Oh.
Yeah. They do that with that plot thread, and it's... I'm gonna be diplomatic and say that's not how I would have gone with it, personally.
Okay. If you want to bring back a certain character, given the nature of that character, that makes sense. But when one of the emotional cruxes of your story is that character's supposed death, when... Oh my gosh, nobody who really... Only one person really dies in the show, I guess. Ever.
I'm just going to scroll through the plot synopsis just because there is still a way this could have been somewhat interesting, and I want to see whether they did that. They did not. Okay. So yeah, Penny comes back in season 7. Everything is perfectly fine. She is exactly as she was with a new body. I was hoping, since this show is so enamored with stealing ideas from good stories, that they would have done a Nier Automata and gone like, yeah, it's Penny, and she's exactly who she was before she left Atlas the first time. She lost all of her memories of being at Beacon. That would have been an interesting turn.
That would make a lot of sense, too, because the state that she was in, there's no way they recovered her fully.
According to the wiki, they recovered her core, whatever that is, in the middle of a Grim invasion. In an arena that was abandoned.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm not entirely sure how that works, but yeah, it was apparently recovered from the Colosseum at some point off camera.
Let me just take a drink. And just Snapple.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. The show is terrible.
That's an idea that they did that could have been done in an interesting way, and they just decided to make it fan service of the character
show,
people
though.
liked coming back.
That's the show, though. We have interesting ideas and concepts, except we kind of just screw them up and throw in fan service. And not like the etchy fan service or anything, but like just, hey guys, this is a reference to a thing, or this is this, or this is that.
Hey, look, it's the thing you like. We know you like the thing, so we're putting more of the thing in of the thing you like because you like the thing, and that means you'll like us, right?
You know what? You know what I would call that? I would call that reactive writing. It's the same thing you see in certain fanfics where the authors more or less just write what their reviewers or readers want rather than having a solid vision for what they do, and that will work in like a choose your own adventure story where you have those set options and you have a path set out. But if you're writing a show that is your own original world, your original characters, your original setting and story, and you start doing reactive writing, you get a mess. Because a fandom is just a screaming pile of babies that all want different things.
Yeah. It's kind of a different facet of what killed Game of Thrones, essentially. Because, that went through the same sort of thing. Like, okay, everyone's figured out how the story's going to go, and we have a reputation for being unpredictable and doing things that people don't expect. So because everyone's predicted exactly how the show is supposed to go, we have to change it and do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's that sort of... It's not exactly the same, but it's the same line of thinking. Like, this is the audience, this is what they're thinking about our show, so we need to do our show in reaction to how people think of our show, rather than the story that we want to tell.
Oh yeah, I heard on another podcast that there was like an interview with some fighting game developers, and they're like, we hear a lot of complaints or like things about balance, and so what we do is we don't actually look at and try to fix like what the people are complaining about. We look at the reason why they are complaining about why is this character so powerful. Well, it's not because they deal so much damage, but it's because the way their moves are. They can do this certain combo that does a lot of damage that they shouldn't ordinarily be able to do. So if we just change that, then we're actually treating the cause, not just the symptom.
Yeah.
And that sort of mentality kind of translates over to writing, where your fans are going to want something, but what they actually desire and what they actually need, they don't fully understand.
Yeah, it's the job of the writer to know how to craft a story, and it's the job of the audience to engage with the story, but they don't necessarily need to know how building a story works. That's not really their job. They're the consumer. They're not, like, building a story is a craft, and people that don't understand that craft, that's fine, nothing wrong with that. Like, everyone wants to be an expert, that's fine. But it's the role of the writer to know better than the audience what makes a good story, because that's their job. And if they're looking to the audience to tell them how to write their story, then I don't even know why they're writers in the first place, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, okay, let's look at Penny, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you bring back Penny just as she is, yay, Penny's back, and then all interest just kind of dies. You bring back Penny with the twist of, oh yeah, no, she doesn't remember anything because she is artificial, she's not real. Then that leaves an impact on the people, and it begins a sort of arc for her. Maybe she finds out, wait, I don't remember what happened. Yeah, there's interesting stuff they could have gone to with that, like, just even on like a cultural level for the place that the story is currently in. Like, this is, I feel like it isn't designed to be, but it's basically an explorer's narrative. It's a group of people going from one place to another that have very different cultural values and very different ways of doing things. Like, they started in Vale, and then they moved to Mistral, where everything's Chinese, and then they're moving to Atlas, where everything is super tech. And having Penny not remember anything from her time at Beacon and just be reset to factory settings, almost, but still be her, but just reset, and then the people that built her don't really care about that, that would be an interesting narrative stab at this sort of concept in terms of like an artificial intelligence, because
she was designed to be a weapon as much as anything else. An extension of Ironwood's, hey, let's build robots so we don't have to have people fight, and then the natural extension of that is build a robot that has aura, which they do. And because she's just a robot, quote unquote, he doesn't have to care about whether she remembers all of the fun times that she had and her existence as a person, because she's a robot. So, she's built for a purpose.
So here's a potential interest that that you can get from just not giving back her memories. If she doesn't have her memories, and she's in a system that doesn't care about her and is oppressive, number one, that kind of allows her to relate to, or allows Weiss to relate to her. And they can have interesting interactions there, both being, have figures of authority that don't really care for them as a person, and are both treated like tools. So there's interesting character interaction there. Two, the whole thing is she's based on like Pinocchio. Well, what if instead of Pinocchio being the one telling lies, she's the one that's always told lies? And it's through seeing past those lies that she's able to become a real girl. There's a, if you want to go with a sort of a narrative that sort of complements but not quite rips off the original Pinocchio inspiration, hey, there's that. That's a lot of fun stuff you can do. But it works on multiple levels, but you're not going to actually commit to taking the harder path. No, let's just give it back our memories. People want that, so let's just do it.
We have 2.5 hours a season. We can't really do all these interesting things. We have to tell a really bare-bones narrative about the super MacGuffin that Atlas have that they're using to make their city fly directly above another city.
Remember when Ren and Nora's whole life plot got done in a few episodes?
Yeah, it got brought up in episode 10 and then finished in episode 13. Yeah, that was a thing.
That's basically what just happened here. It's the same sort of thing. It's like, because I saw that arc, I was like, oh no, they're not gonna treat this stuff with any amount of grace or seriousness or care. The arc they're gonna care the most about is John.
Fucking John.
Because he's voiced by, one of the writers.
H.B.R. Mackay really ripped into them for that. And kind of justifiably so. I think we did too when we did the retrospective. We did. Yeah. This is the writer, by the way. Yeah.
It's just sad, because with a setting that has an endless army of darkness that manifests in these bestial forms that are drawn to negative emotions, with a setting that has characters that have special unique powers, and all these different cultures that have different on technology or magic or what have you. You have stuff you can work with. You have stories that can only be told in this setting. And it doesn't feel like they're ever fully taking advantage of that. They just start to write more settings so that they can write in that setting and not quite the original one. I'm gonna be real here. I hate the whole maidens thing.
It's not an interesting thing.
It's super poorly done, and it's why do I care about these maidens? Is the plot twist going to be that Team Ruby also ends up being the 4 maidens somehow. I don't know.
Yeah,
Why are there,
I mean
why are there
that was
4?
that was the really obvious thing that everyone expected them to go for, and I guess that's why they didn't do it, because it was so incredibly telegraphed. Like, hey, we have 4 maidens that represent different seasons and thus different character archetypes, and oh, look how nicely these character archetypes line up with our fucking main protagonists.
I hate Ruby. I mean the character. When I say that, I don't like her. Like I've tried and I've thought about it, and the more I think about it, I'm like, she's just, that's your lead. That's your lead character, and oh no, she's happy, excitable, energetic, and I guess she is a genius inventor who doesn't ever invent.
Yeah. It's kind of tragic that fanfic explores that 1,000 times more than the actual show does. Like the amount of fanfics that go into, hey, Ruby builds things on a regular basis, and the show never brings it up since season fucking 1.
H. Pomago pointed out, oh yeah, they go to get Jean's armor repaired instead of looks set. Our good friend Ruby over there, who's just been here looking at Jean with 4 weapons and armor, and yeah, no, she's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, instead they're gonna go to a blacksmith and he's going to forge extra bits onto his sword to make it a slightly bigger sword.
I feel like that's a very poorly concealed metaphor.
I want my dick to be bigger. That means
I'm a man. I don't care about him. Like, okay.
he had the best arc by proxy, pardon the pun, because all of the character development that Pyrrha got then got dumped into him because she died and she put everything on him, and he does fuck all with it.
I got into a discussion with somebody the other day, just a little bit, and they were upset because they like Ruby and they feel like everybody just dumps on it without seeing it. I'm like, I've seen 5 seasons, and Blake is terrible. I think Blake is a terrible character.
I actually don't think there are many people who would disagree with you, even in the fandom. Except the ones that are really into a specific ship. Those people are terrifying.
They had said Blake has many character traits beyond being a cat girl, and I said Blake is a terrible character. After that, I said Blake's a terrible character. Her arc keeps looping and being reused without major development. Like, the writers don't know what to do with her. Because they decided that we're going to tackle racism with one of our main characters. And we don't really know what that is. We don't really experience it ourselves, but we're going to write it. We're going to talk to people who have experienced it. No, we're good. We got this.
Yeah, I'm not usually one for the, hey, you have to experience this particular way of life before you can comment on it or even consider writing about it, or you have to be XYZ characteristic before you can play that role, etc., etc. It's not true. That's a very modern interpretation of how writing works.
But if you
But yeah, if you can't even bother to do the research or actually look into it, then yeah, you. Again, why are you a writer?
Especially with a sensitive real life issue, you want to make sure that you know what you're talking about if you're going to enter the conversation. Whether that be through real life experience or through talking to people and doing research on your own, you have to know what you're talking about if you want to actually make a statement. Otherwise, you're going to constantly retcon your own points, trying to find out which one is the correct one by the fandom's standards. Because you're reactively writing.
Has anyone in this classroom ever experienced discrimination? Bunny Girl raises her hand. Some prick pulled my ears once. Terrible, just terrible. Thanks. Great commentary.
Wait, no. People like her. Let's make her an upperclassman, and let's give her a special weapon that can just. Yeah. No, we'll build it up.
Yeah, let's make her
like
cool and really self-assured now, even though her entire character up to this point has been wilting wallflower. Yeah.
Don't worry. Like, I kind of borrowed a bit. There is, well, I borrowed not from this, but from Fire Emblem Path of Radiance when making my own world for my D&D game, in which there's a race called the Bestial, and they are treated as...
The Beastie Boys?
No, they're treated as not quite human, and part of that is due to them essentially losing their nation that they had, and due to many people looking down on them for being less than human. But that's not entirely the whole world's point of view. That's just a few countries that are rather major view that, probably due to conflicts that they've had in the past. But it's not the case where it's like, we only have two races in this world, and one of those races is discriminated against because LOL. Like, if you're in a setting in which there's an evil, malevolent force that is constantly manifesting, it's easier to, and this is a shocking part, it's easier to just make people united against that force and then discuss the difficulties of that unity and the conflicts that come from that. Like taking a Attack on Titan approach rather than I don't know what their approach is. I don't know what to call it.
4 small nations spread across the globe in tiny little enclosed cities with waves of unending monsters outside of the walls. Yeah, I could see that being one of the stories that they took a bit of inspiration from. Let's call it. It would not surprise me.
Because, here's the thing, right? Atlas. Totally, if you're going to do Atlas, it has to be, totalitarian, we have to, for the good of our people, all work together and contribute to your role in society. Right? That should be what that is, right?
Yep.
And then you have, all the other kingdoms, and they each have their own take on how they would naturally try to deal with this threat. But, the presence of the White Fang in general just muddies everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, you know what you can do? You can have people who, shocker, big shocker. As it turns out, yeah, no, there's an intelligent force behind this threat. And some people have flocked to that intelligent force and sold out their humanity so that they can live and not be hunted by these beasts nonstop. Wow, that sounds like a good villain force. Maybe maybe an entire country has sold itself out. Okay,
That'd be interesting.
that's
But
that's a pretty
5 people. 5 people. 6 if you
that's
include Leo.
like. I mean, it would be a simple premise of good versus evil, but there's also like, no, these guys, they're just scared. They just want to live. So you can make it more complex if you dig into that angle. But instead, these guys are going to go to war. It's very fragile tensions, and there's also these racial tensions, and there's also, you know what you can do? It's like, why are they taking it on the faunus? Well, because the people are frustrated because of these constant attacks, and they don't have anywhere else to put their aggression, so they take it on people who are different from them. Okay, there we go. That's interesting. But wait, no, we can't do that, because if we do that, then how can we have funny hijinks in school?
Yeah.
You screwed yourself over with your setting.
Except I feel like they didn't.
What
It's
they want to
unfortunate-
write and what they...
It's unfortunate that a lot of the creation of the show came into the practicality of animating it and not building it as a show first. Because what they did was they built the trailers, spent a fuck ton of time doing that before they even got anyone started on doing the writing. If you're going to build a world, that takes time. It can't be done that fast. It just practically speaking, it's not a thing you can do if you want it to come together, make sense, and then have a narrative built on it. Because if you're going to do that, that means you have to build the world with that narrative in mind, and the two have to work in concert. And if you put that on the back burner just so that you can make the animation look nice, which was the only thing that Monty cared about, then you're going to end up with a crap story. Worse, if you give this incredibly complicated task when it comes to writing, like building an entire world for a new story is a really daunting task to lay at the feet of people that barely have any writing experience.
Yeah. Like, what's the history? Is there a religion? Is religion a thing? What are these cultures like? Languages? Are there different languages? How do these people as a society react? How does their society raise them? How are they taught to view the world? Like, these are things that you typically wouldn't think of at a quick, like, surface thought of, I'm going to make a world. Unless you have some experience. And when your experience is red versus blue, which already has the Halo world, then
Not only that, their only experience, to my knowledge, in fairness, was writing 2 halves of 2 different seasons of a story set in a world that already existed and thus had all the rules already laid out, with the story already basically having a beginning and an end. They knew what the outline, the broad strokes of the story would be. And they just had to fill in the blanks. They were basically writing fan fiction of a story that was basically fan fiction.
Yeah. Let's get these guys their own original show. Yeah, let's do it.
This would be like me coming off of Face Every Shadow, the half-finished kind of crappy story that I wrote in 2010, and then being told to write Persona 5. Not even that. That's understating it. It would be me coming off of that, and then coming up with an entirely different story in a brand new setting that uses some broad strokes from some other stories. Just coming up with the entire thing from whole cloth.
A big part of why I've been enjoying DMing my second game is it's allowed me to get a lot of experience creating a world and seeing how that can create so many other different stories within it. Because it's my own original setting, it's my own original world and stories, and the stories that the players create are surprising to me because they sometimes focus on aspects of the world that I wasn't thinking of. But it goes to show that when you are writing a story or you're trying to create a world, it always helps to have that outside input and to have multiple people to talk to who can express their views and their kind of own opinions on it. I think that when these guys were writing Ruby, they didn't share a lot of what they were doing for feedback or criticism with people who, the people who knew what they were doing, but also people who were able to give honest opinions.
In fairness, who would they ask that would know better? Because, again, practically speaking, these two, they're decent character writers. They're not amazing, but they're decent. I would also say I'm a decent character writer. It's the thing I focus on most. But they only had character writers to ask about this stuff, because that's all Red vs. Blue was. It didn't have to build a world. There was no one at the company who knew how to do what they needed to do.
I suppose that's the trap then. They didn't know what they're getting into, and if they had known, they probably would have actually gone and hired somebody from outside their company to come in and help. But they were like, no, we got this. And they didn't have it.
Yeah, that's what happens when you build a company from the ground up. You just had people that just thought, okay, we'll just throw something together and maybe it'll work. It's low stakes, it's just for fun. And then it blows up and does amazing. And then they do a bunch of other stuff, and that also blows up and does amazing. Stuff that they just came up with and just okay, let's take a crack at this. And they do well. And they keep doing well at all different kinds of things. And then they tried this. There's a very deep and complex project to get right, and it doesn't come as easily. It does well, granted. They had a hell of a fucking fan base to build from for it to do well. And on the face of it, it doesn't show in the first couple of seasons because, it's a very small-scale story. They started with the school. That's fine. Perfectly great. Because they didn't have the fucking world yet to build a more complex and all-encompassing story for the setting. So they start small and start with character writing, because that's what they know how to do. Great. But then 3 years in, they start to try and get this more all-encompassing story together that takes place in a world that has a greater setting, different cultures, different backgrounds for different types of characters, and it's still not there because they never built it. Because they didn't know how.
Yeah, that's
It's
really
just, it's just really sad.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't feel right fully blaming anyone for this. Like, I don't think there's a particular game in playing the blame game for, this thing's shit, you're the reason. That doesn't really help anyone in most circumstances. But in this case, I don't think there is anyone that even could be pointed at and say, hey, you're the reason everything sucks. Because I don't think they had a chance to get the writing right on this one.
Yeah, I think they did, but I feel like they bit off more than they could chew. And that's kind of the problem of an inflated opinion of oneself.
But again, that's not really their fault either, because what
happened
happened was Monty made
when
the
they
trailer.
blow up like that with when
Monty
they blow
made
up
the trailer
like
on his
that.
own. Basically, he had music guy Jeff Williams do the music for it. He did the animation on his own. Made the trailer, put it at the end of Red vs. Blue 10. People love this. They want more. Okay, let's actually get a project together for this. Let's pick 2 writers. Miles and Kerry, you did writing for us. You are the writers on this show. Okay. Like, what are they going to do? Say no?
I'm not really privy to the larger thing of Rooster Teeth. I don't know much about their company or what they do or how it's organized. But I just... Gosh. It just feels like... You know how I would describe this? It's you run up the stairs of success, and then you fall back down it with, like, you just trip right at the last step. And boom, 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 boom. Misstep after misstep after misstep of just poor decisions and poor planning. And not just from one person or anything, but from multiple people. Because, like, Ichigo guy talks about how they did so much work to get Velvet in there. They did a video where they the voice actress, and the voice actress only gets 14 seconds of dialogue in season 2.
Yep.
And you're like, that was not properly planned. Because they don't know what they're doing. They're not experienced to run something of this caliber. And as they're going and progressing, they're not learning the right lesson because they're just trying to make everyone happy. So they're reactively writing, which is only causing the problems to pile on and pile on and pile on. But they're keeping a fandom because they are satisfying the people who are screaming the loudest.
Yeah, it's really weird to talk about this because this is one of the situations where we're just 2 guys that have some writing experience of a not as especially let's call it not especially prestigious area of writing.
I mean, I have an English degree.
You do, yes. And I do get paid for writing, let's call it that, but still, at the same time, we're just 2 guys that have a bit of experience talking against a sea of millions of fans that are happily spending all of their money on Ruby merch. And yeah, okay, it's one of those things where we can talk until we're blue in the face about how the writing isn't good, the world isn't there, the setting doesn't make sense, the plot is complicated, convoluted, and at the same time incredibly bare bones and simple, and they can just point to the giant crowds of fans and ignore everything we're saying.
The difficulty is, though, their fan base is never going to be quite what it could have been. And
yeah,
it's
hard to speak to the lost opportunities because they could just say you're wrong.
Look at the views on the first trailer on YouTube that was uploaded separately.
Yeah.
Look at how the views have fallen over time. And you'll see that they're bleeding slowly, but they are bleeding.
Actually,
and their attempts to go and garner more fans are not going to work this late into the seasons. Because if you have a few bad seasons and then you have a good season, well, fans have already jumped out on those bad seasons. That's the problem with a show that runs for 7 seasons is, let's say you're The Walking Dead, right? The Walking Dead has a few bad seasons, and everybody is out. Not going to watch it anymore. Has some good seasons, those people aren't coming back. And Walking Dead is a massively popular show, but you don't hear it talked about anymore.
I'm just gonna... Alright, this is really fucking annoying with YouTube trying to look at actual view numbers, but bear with me. I am going to take a look at a thing and see if I can get some view numbers. I apologize if the audio comes through. It fucking will. I'm trying to find fucking Rooster Teeth's channel to see this thing on, but goddamn, I can't actually find it. Is fucking Ruby Volume 7 not on? It's fucking... Bear with me. Yeah, I'm just looking at Rooster Teeth's channel and seeing all this kind of bullcrap that I don't know if anyone get. Holy shit. They have a new animated show apparently that is getting like 50,000 views. Holy shit.
So to kind of looking at some numbers, Ruby Episode 1 has 15 million views. Now, obviously, that's going to be a bit bigger because that's episode 1. Everybody's going to at least try the first episode. Episode 2, however, has about 6.8 million views. Now, the big episode, the finale of Season 5, the big one, has 3.5 million views.
Okay.
Now,
let me just hit you with this. Ruby Volume 6, Chapter 13 has just under 400,000 views. Compared to H. Bomber Guy's video on how Ruby is disappointing that has just under 1 million. More people are interested in hearing about why Ruby is not that great than they are about watching the actual show. That's probably not an entirely fair comparison. I don't know how big H. Bomber Guy is as a YouTuber. I understand he's pretty well known and respected and well liked and popular. But even so, Ruby is also supposed to be that. And we're talking about a video that came out a few weeks ago versus one that came out well over a year ago.
Now, season 5 was a big jumping off point for a lot of people. But it still had the finale episode got 3.5 million views. But as opposed to season 1 where it was averaging like twice that. And that's the finale. And so it bleeds slowly, and then it bleeds slowly, and then it starts bleeding more, and then it starts bleeding more, and then season 3 comes up, and it's back up, and then season 4, and it starts to bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed. And it's not noticeable at first, but you see over time that eventually people stop talking about it. I didn't even know there was going to be a season 7.
In fairness, I couldn't find Volume 7 on YouTube. I think it's only on their site. Which is an interesting marketing choice.
I wonder why. Maybe it has something to do with those view counts. Maybe it's because they want to get money. But you see, reducing the availability doesn't help. So, like with The Walking Dead, like with Game of Thrones even, you'll have points where people just jump off and then don't get back on. It's the same for every show. And yeah, you can say yeah?
Sorry, I googled Ruby Volume 7 on YouTube, and yeah, there's the playlist of someone who uploaded it who is not Rooster Teeth. There is was Ruby cancelled? As a question that has an answer. A lot of videos about why Ruby is not very good. Lots of Ruby shitposts. More videos about how it's not very good.
I found the Volume 7 intro.
Yep, that's on their YouTube. Not the show, though. Yep. Why is Ruby Volume 7 not on YouTube? Nothing being said about it. That's very interesting. I don't know why they're doing this, and I can't find anyone saying why they're doing this.
Even though we're only 2 people talking against millions of fans,
it doesn't feel like it's millions of fans anymore. But at the same time, YouTube as a platform is not great for them anyway. Like, if you remember, YouTube is still shit and not actually doing great things for creators.
Oh yeah, I agree.
At this point, as a company, they're probably better off just having stuff on their site where they probably get better monetary compensation for it. There are practical reasons why they would not be on YouTube, which are entirely fair.
Yeah. But my point was, dwindling interest is still happening. It's not like the fact that the person who likes Ruby was talking about how so many people complain without watching the show. That is a symptom of the interest for the show going down as a whole.
Yeah, the factor isn't people complaining about the show without having watched it. It's people complaining about the show after having stopped watching it.
Because the people complaining about the show after having stopped watching it tend to draw attention to the people who haven't watched it and then start to trash talk it. And so you end up with a case with when those people are louder than the people who stopped watching it, you don't really have as big of a fan base as you used to have. It's the same thing that happened with Yandere Simulator.
Oh god.
Where eventually it turned out to be that just the entire internet was clowning on it, even though they hadn't even played the game, because it was more fun to do that, and because they'd been very much turned off from even trying it because
there were so many people who
heard.
actually knew what they were talking about, who had played the game, and pretty much all of them saying the same thing, that nothing was being done with it, that the flaws were still there, the creator didn't care about them, didn't bother to fix them, and the project was just stalled, spinning its wheels, doing things that no one actually cared about. Well, doing things that pleased fans, but didn't actually make content worth indulging in.
Word of mouth is potent.
Works both ways.
Like, it can uplift something and make it into a sleeper hit, or it can kill something over time. Like
For
it's
Ruby,
like
it did both.
Yeah, and currently Ruby has that poison debuff that's just constantly taking damage over time because of the issues we've discussed. And they're going to keep pushing it. They're going to keep trying to invent new ways to make it interesting, because that's what shows do that are slowly dying. It's what Fairly Odd Parents did when they added in all of those new characters. They did it 3 times, add in a new character to try to spice things up, and shake up the formula. So you're probably going to be seeing in the next few seasons things happening that fans have really wanted or have really theorized for. But no, wait, even if it doesn't make sense, it's now coming true because that's what you guys wanted, right? Come back, guys, come back. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be... I saw a video which was like Season 7 Ren and Nora kiss. It's like a clip. It's like, oh, there's already something that they're doing because the fans like it.
I'm just looking, just to remind people, because we have been talking about this for almost an hour. Haven't actually watched Season 7. Watch the rest of it. Just, some authority, not all of it. But I'm just looking up how Season 7 ends to see what exactly they're going to be doing. Winter Maiden, yeah, great. We've already talked that plot point to death. Yeah. Oh, by the way, they did add a bunch of new characters in Season 7, just to be clear. But in fairness, they were going to an entirely new city, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so they're still in Atlas, and everything's gone to shit again, I guess. And I think it ended on a cliffhanger. Okay.
Yeah, trying to get drum up interest.
I don't know. It is what it is. It's... The problems it has are so baked in at this point, I don't think they could actually fix them. Like, we can talk this to death, we can say why it's wrong, why it needed a lot more work before it even got off the ground. But the fact is, we're 7 seasons in, and these problems don't go away just by doing more writing, doing more background, doing more world building, because the poorly implemented world building ideas still exist. They're still baked into the setting. So they have a choice. Do they retcon and undo a lot of the bad decisions and thus make a world that makes even less sense because it's inconsistent? Or do they just go along with it and just try and build around the cruft that they've added and just hope that they can salvage it? I don't think either one is particularly viable when they have 2.5 hours per season.
And again, you like, they're bleeding. So you need a very, very big band-aid. And the only way you're going to get that done is if you stop reactively writing, but they're not going to, because it's a cycle.
It's the only thing that's keeping them afloat at this point. Let's be real.
Yeah. They need to do something drastic, but they're not going to take that risk.
You know what the drastic thing would be?
What?
Reboot. It would be a hell of a risk. And I don't think, practically speaking, I've been saying that a lot in this episode, this shitty episode where we're not really trying, yet we've spent over an hour talking about writing.
Yeah, funny that.
What a low-effort episode. What are they even doing? God. What was I saying? Yeah, reboot. It would be a hell of a risk. I don't think it would work, practically speaking, because, one, reboots are not well liked. People get pissed off with them at the best of times. This is not the best of times for the series. 2, all hail Monty, our Lord and Savior of animation. He is the only one who shall bring us to the promised land. To denigrate or to deny his works is to commit a sacrilege against the holy force that is Ruby.
Look,
it sounds
man,
like I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm really not. This is how people talk about him.
Look, man, he's pretty smart. He's a genius. He's not the only genius in the world. Yeah, he made some very, very good stuff, and that's great. That stuff will always be there. But at the end of the day, would you rather have that stuff be tarnished and trashed, or would you rather they just be like, okay, we're going to leave this as it is, and we're going to just start over again? That stuff is still there as its own thing, but we're going to start over again, trying to tell the story that we wanted to tell in a better way.
That's how they frame it. Try to tell the story that Monty wanted to tell. And then they try and implement all of his ideas, all of his nonsensical, counterintuitive, contrary ideas that completely contradict each other, and then try and build a story off of that. But if they have all of those ideas, shove them together at the start, you can build a story off of that.
Yes.
Because you do it from scratch.
Also, I just want to point out that there are minor characters on the Ruby Wiki page for Season 7 called the Thirsty Moms. The Thirsty Moms are a group of women who appear in Sparks, fawning over Huntsman Jean Arc as he escorts their children home from school.
I take it back, this entire series is unsalvageable.
Yeah.
Once again, I wish I was being hyperbolic, but oh my god.
Don't you see? They're thirsty for John and his new haircut that makes him look like generic anime boy.
I don't even know what to do with that. I really don't. How... It dawns on me. How has this show spent so many seasons admittedly, to dedicate its attention to our 4 attractive young female protagonists and not had a single mention of fanboys?
Weird.
But there are
Also,
fangirls or thirsty moms. For Jean.
yeah. Crazy, huh?
Funny that.
Also, I just want to say I've looked at these, the Atlas character models for the 4 main characters. They look terrible.
The what?
In Ruby's is... So they have different... So for Atlas, they have different... They updated their designs. Ruby's looks fine, but for the most part, the Mistral designs, they're like 4 and 5 season designs.
4, 5, and 6, but yes.
Yeah, those are good. But season 7 has them with new designs.
Yes.
And they look pretty bad. As a whole.
Yeah, I'm looking at Ruby right now. She has a bit of a manic pixie dream girl thing going on, which was... I mean, it was vaguely her character, but also not at all.
Mm-hmm. And
like the fucking Ahoge is a thing that she has. I don't know why. Then we have Weiss, who looks even more like a princess than ever, I guess.
Which is weird, because wasn't she rebelling against that?
Yeah, that was pretty much her whole arc, and exactly what she was in the middle of doing as of season 4. And you would think that she would have the princess look in season 4, but no, it was vaguely there, and then it went away, and then it went away more, and now it's back in full force for reasons that escape me, but maybe it's written in, who knows. Or maybe they just
and Blake's outfit is the
swapped.
Absolute worst. Look at all these zippers and belts. Nomura would be happy.
He'd be overjoyed. Holy shit. I hope that's a bag on her back and she isn't just wearing belts on her shoulders for no reason. It looks like it is. I can see a slight
yeah, no, that's her. I think that's her her sword gun things.
Okay, so there's a zip at the top. There's a zip at the fucking coat that goes down instead of up, I guess. Belt crossing over it, and then zips on the front of the thighs for some reason. She gets hot, maybe? I mean, yeah, it's anime character design, but usually there's a little bit of sense to it.
And then there's John's bad hair.
I'm not even
awful on him.
Fucking John. Sorry, I was typing in Yang when I said that. Zhang. Zhang Zhao Zhang. Yeah, and then there's Yang, who is, I don't know, desert punk a little bit. Which, I don't know. That actually looks more like her original outfit than any of the others do.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't look that bad.
It's could not be that bad. Except there's all these zippers for no reason. And belts. Yeah, no. It's done. It's unsalvageable. Like, you would have to be willing to do a full reboot and you would also have to be willing to kill your love of Jean.
At least they got rid of Neptune. Was a step in the right direction. Well, yeah, he wasn't even in the whole Mistral thing, which was where he was supposed to be. Oh, I know where they went. Sorry, like I say, I write 2 RubyFix currently, so I actually need to keep up on the wiki at least. So after the whole Fall of Beacon thing, Team Coffee moved to Vacuo and enrolled at Shade Academy. And so did Team Sun. Without Sun. And presumably without telling him. It was a book. It was a light novel, from my understanding.
Oh, yeah. I know something funny.
Mm-hmm.
So, since Neptune's semblance is water attraction, that's why Weiss cares about him, because she's Snow White. Get it?
It's a joke, right?
Ice is water, and he has water attraction. Or
I mean, I can't really talk too much shit because I also write a fic about that, which is the My Hero Academia fic, but one of them. So it's not really fair for me to comment on that. But then again, this is supposed to be a kind of serious story that they're telling at this point. Like, it used to be hijinks, but it's not anymore.
Yeah, guys, we're so serious here.
Yep, thirsty moms. They're super serious about it.
Moms. Super serious. We take our things very seriously, guys, and we think that you're not taking it seriously enough by not watching our stuff and buying our merch. So if you could just take it seriously, then
you need to know how many women want Jean's D. It's important.
Well, John is very popular. He's very popular with the fandom, and he's just very popular in general. And so that's why we decided to give him his new haircut, so that he looked more like the muscly hero that I want to be. I mean, that he should be by now. What it doesn't fit his face and his eyes. No. Trust me, I've seen this in anime. It looks good.
I'm trying to think. Does anyone actually like Jean? I mean, even in the fandom? I mean, he's not really... Like, they killed his love interest, so he's not even really valid for ships anymore. And that's the only thing Ruby fans care about at this point.
He's a vessel for reader insertion.
I guess.
In most cases. Because he has nothing. And a lot of the fics with Jean are him becoming cool and awesome because he is lame and because people relate to being lame.
So he's the Gino to the Nino fix of the Naruto fandom? Jean in name only?
Isekai protagonist. He's the Isekai protagonist. The wish fulfillment. He's not a necessary part of the story, and to be honest, he shouldn't be.
Wait, you're telling me there's a complete fuck-up who's good at absolutely nothing and good for absolutely nothing, and yet he gets to go to a school that's filled with hot ladies?
Because he lied and cheated his way to get... Because he lied and cheated his way to get in, and knows nothing about how to actually do anything there?
And doesn't want to learn? That was the worst possible thing they could have done for his character arc. Was to just say, yeah, I cheated my way in. You want to help me? Fuck off. I don't want to learn to be good at the thing I pretended to be good at. I just want to be in the school with hot ladies. Fucking Christ. It's really hard to write a character that's actually worse than Issei Hyodo.
You know what? I don't think they wanted to write Ruby, like the character.
Well, they didn't.
I really think they didn't want to. And that's kind of a shame, considering that she's the reason why people started watching your show with your trailer that featured her being silent and
sad and awesome.
Yeah.
And then you decided to make her socially awkward, incredibly loud, and vibrant and cheerful.
You want to know something? If they had never done the school ever, and they just had these people who are wandering this world that is overrun with these beasts, and they come together and end up saving people and becoming known for it, and then end up getting embroiled in the larger conflicts of the world, that would be a better story.
Yeah, just wandering badasses, and maybe have the characters be apprentices of older characters. So, you know, Tai Yang, Crow. I mean, Gira didn't really exist at this point, so Adam, I guess, for lack of a better option. And it would really be difficult to fit Weiss into this scenario because her character is so steeped in being pampered little rich girl.
Here's what you do. You change it a bit. You have it so each character has their motivation that, for one reason or another, has them out in the world and searching, and they realize they can't do it alone, so they end up either by coincidence or by searching, ending up in a group with these other people who are huntresses, which is not really something you have to go to school for. It's just a profession you can choose to do, and it's dangerous. It's like being an adventurer, right?
Which would make sense in a world of monsters, yes. It's basically The Witcher.
Yeah, so you have Ruby, who wants revenge. We take Ren's whole thing about revenge against the Grimm who destroyed his village, and she wants to kill the Grimm who killed her mother. You have, it's simple, but you can develop that as you have her interact with the other characters.
Yeah.
You have
we
Yang,
could even still have the whole overarching plot of she doesn't actually know the Grimm that killed her mother, and then gradually she learns more about it and finds out it was this actual human Grimm, and etc., etc. You can still use a lot of the bare bones. It's still there. It works.
Yeah. You have Yang, who, in this scenario, is not related to Ruby. Rather, she is looking for her mother, who is lost out there in the world somewhere, and Ruby can relate to that because Ruby lost her mother. And that provides a sort of a starting bond for them. You have Blake, who was part of this group that went bad. One of the members of her group, while they were out hunting, betrayed and killed their other party members so that they could get the glory and the spoils, and she just barely managed to get away and survive. And so now she wants to kind of keep her distance from that person, but also she wants to enact revenge with her own group. And so that's something she can relate to Ruby about, is the need for revenge. Then you have Weiss, and Weiss is somebody who is out there trying to get experience in the world so that she can have enough of a reputation and have enough glory that she can basically usurp her father, who had taken over her family and who had turned her life into hell. So she's trying to go for the glory, which is something that's going to cause, conflict between her and Blake, which happens in the show, but also the need for revenge against somebody who has ruined her life is something that she can relate to with Ruby. So you have all these characters who can relate to Ruby. They all have their own motivations for why they want to be out there fighting monsters, and each of them is different, and it's going to cause conflict. Weiss is going to be in conflict with a lot of the group because of her need for glory and for proving herself. But as they, you know, understand her and begin to learn about her, and she begins to understand them, they begin to relate to each other, and eventually they become a group that calls themselves Ruby. Hey, look, that's a show.
It is. It is a very different, somewhat more mature show than they were going for in the outset.
It is more mature, yes, but it matches the tone of the trailer.
It does.
Now,
It is a better scenario for more economical writing. Because the idea of a school setting means a lot of time spent on school. And a lot less time with badass fight scenes, a lot less time of actual character development in any kind of stakes.
yeah. And you can have slow moments in any show that are nice and can have fun bits as well. But the difference between the two sort of concepts, the one they, their story, and the one I just came up with on the fly, which, was by no means perfect or the best way to do it, it's just something that I just threw together, is you want to make the difference is, I feel in the latter scenario, the one that I came up with, those hijinks would have to feel more earned. Like, you would have to earn those, because that's not something that's typically found necessarily in this more grim, entrenched world. This more grim world, yeah. But at the same time, if you're going to make a story that is powered by grim that are searching out, your characters that have negative emotions, having a wandering group of character that have a whole heap ton of negative emotions built up, and them trying to deal with that and that kind of being tied to the battles that they're doing as they're trying to progress and grow and reach better mental states, that feels like a stronger narrative, because their emotions are necessary to work out if they want to survive. And because all these people are volatile people with problems, they're not going to group up with anybody else who is in a sound mental state. They're going to group up with other people who have problems, which is why they end up grouping together. When you have a world that is like, we are all at peace and everything is good, and we have to pretend that everything is good, and everything must be good, and we have to lie to people to make sure things are good.
God
that's
damn.
Fine.
I just remembered
okay.
What they did. They made a setting where everything is shit and they live in a crapsack world where monsters roam the earth, and then they made it happy. That makes no sense. They really mucked that up. That's not. They started it with no stakes in a world that's supposed to have incredibly high stakes. That was a mistake. Yes, you're correct.
Yes.
Problem with the scenario you posited, though. Budget.
Yeah. Again, I just threw it together. Budget. Now, here's the thing, is that if you're dealing with a character-driven thing with no necessarily established setting, what you do is you start them off somewhere that budget would be no problem, like the snowy area that Ruby starts in. Low quality backgrounds, focus on the fights.
That's fair.
I understand the need to have a hub area, and you can have, I don't know, a house that they live in, or something like that. It's much better than just a humongous school. And then they go out and they do battles in one of the several relatively basic areas, but we don't care about the background. What we care about is the action. And so we end up in situations where, I have a creative idea. I'm going to design a battle in this specific area. Okay, they're going to go on a mission, and they go there. Cool, we get to the battle. And maybe while there, something happens character-wise that causes a flare-up in conflict or causes a resolution of some sort. But doing a bunch of short gag episodes where you continuously explain about the world and classes that the characters don't care about, so why should we?
Or rather, don't really explain about the world.
Yeah.
Like, again...
They really don't.
Not to belabor a point that H-Bomber made, but that entire first class with Port was about how the teacher is not great at teaching and doesn't tell them anything they don't already know, and doesn't tell us anything we don't already know, and literally spends half of the time they could be spending on world building having the teacher go blah 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 blah. That's literally his lines while we're focusing on Ruby and Weiss. So instead of spending time on world building, they spent it on character moments.
It's a very simple thing. When the characters meet each other in their sort of environment where they have to work together, introduce yourself. Here's my semblance. Oh, wait, what's a semblance? Don't worry, we'll explain that a little bit later. Having a fight scene. Oh, her aura broke. What's aura? We'll explain that in the next episode. Episode 2. Here's what semblance and aura are. Okay. Now you know. What's dust? Think of it as just superpowered gunpowder. Cool. What about the state of the world? We'll explain that as we go. We'll pepper that in.
Yeah.
Because you can't right now. Like, we're gonna do some awesome fights, and as we go, we'll bring up different terms. You may not understand what they mean now, but maybe one of our characters being either the sheltered princess or the kind of lone revenge-seeking Ruby. Maybe one of them doesn't know much about the world outside of their small area that they tend to live in, and they begin to learn a bit more as these terms come up, rather than just trying to dump it all at once. But that requires you to have your setting written out for yourself so that you know what that is ahead of time, and know when to like disperse that information. It's such a cool idea. The idea that the idea that negative emotions draw this enemy, and rather than have a cast of characters that have problems they have to work through and have that be a bit of a metaphor for the monsters that those sorts of issues attract. No, they're happy. For the most part, they're pretty happy. Only Blake's really sad if we think about it. It's a problem because you're shutting out a great way you can go for character development, and you can even go, if you want to, these characters pretend to be happy but they're hiding a lot of big problems, but the Grimm are the things that can actually sense those things out, and they can suss out that you're actually faking being happy, and so they attack you. Like, that would be an interesting
cool
twist to take. What
if they had Yang act happy and the Grimm kind of mostly leave her alone? Weiss is just kind of waspish. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know how mean that word is, but she's unpleasant, but the Grimm mostly leave her alone. Blake kind of gets hassled by the Grimm more than most. And then
they
cheerful,
all swarm
chirpy,
on
happy Ruby, who is always putting on a face of being upbeat and smiling and trying to get along okay, gets it more than anyone else in the show.
Yeah, aren't the Grimm such a great tool for character writing when you don't have to say anything? You don't have to say, oh, she's... You don't have to say, oh, she's sad. You just have to say, the Grimm are really interested in her. Ruby, what's the matter? Oh, it's nothing. No, we know it's not nothing because the Grimm are attacking you.
No, it's fine. I was just the closest, that's all.
You can use your fights to build your storytelling when you have a setting like this.
And when you have a writer in the room when the story, when the fight choreographer and animator, because they did both, are doing the work. Which is weird because, again, H-Bomber was like, hey, they actually told more story in the fights than they did in the, the writing parts where writing was done.
Mm-hmm. But, you have a setting that facilitates that. You can tell the entire story pretty much entirely through fights. Because if you establish that this is what Grimm are attracted to, then... Oh, there's less Grimm today. I wonder why that is. And then,
Yeah. Like, at the core of the functions of writing the show, the writers and the choreographer weren't working together. And in an action show, you kind of need them to. So you would have Monty writing an action... Well, animating an action scene on the fly, having all these cool ideas, doing little bits of writing in the middle of it, even if he didn't quite realize that's what he was doing. And then the writers have to work that in, or not, as the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And then the writers, at the same time, are writing these stories, and then the animator has this idea that for a really cool fight he wants to do, and the writers have to figure out, how the fuck do we get this fight to happen then? There needed to be some synergy there that just wasn't there because it was Monty's baby. And the writing staff were incredibly inexperienced.
There needed to be a lot of collaboration to help have this thing reach its full potential, because the setting is meant for cool fights. And if your writing isn't going to work with those fights, then what are you doing? Why are you having Ruby turn into an anime 2D character in your first episode or second episode and have her spaz out over all this cool stuff?
And then never do it again.
Is that why people came to watch your show? Know your audience. They didn't come for hijinks, they came for battle. That's what you led with. They want to know more about these characters, but they really like Monty. They really like what he can do.
That's a language difference, though. Monty thought of himself as doing anime. So he thought when people liked the trailer, hey, people want anime. So let's do anime. So you get sudden chibi 2D character sprites, and you get fucking fight clouds, and all of this kind of thing. And no, it turned out people did not like the trailer because they wanted anime. They came to the trailer because there was a cool fight in it.
Yes, that was incredibly well animated and had bits of story in it that we were not told, but we could figure it out. Because we're not dumb. We can pick up on things. We can analyze things.
Hmm. Sorry. Just random thing popped into my head of Bernie calling Samus Metroid. It's just weird. It was funny. You know, in a that word I don't like to say way.
Anyway. That's why I get so bothered with Ruby, is I just see a lot of missed potential, and I'm just like, you have such a great thing here.
Yeah.
The show can be good. It can be great, even. That's why it sucks when it doesn't.
It's another thing that ideas are easy. You look at fanfiction.net, you can find fucking millions upon millions of ideas. A lot of them good.
Oh, yeah. No.
Ideas are the easy part. Good ideas are even the easy part. It's implementing them in a way that makes the most of those good ideas that is the incredibly difficult part, that takes skill, experience, and, not to sound pretentious, but vision.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing. That idea I mentioned of them wandering the world with, like, a bunch of baggage and having to worry about Grimm and having that be tied to their character development, that could have been season 4.
It was kind of season 6. That was something they did get to eventually, now that I think about it. Because that was most of what season 6 was. It was traveling from Mistral to Argus. And they did have a bunch of baggage that they had to deal with that was unexpected. And they did have to deal with some Grimm that made the most of that emotional upheaval.
Yeah. The reason why I mentioned season 4 specifically is characters have died. A character lost her arm. Another character has been dragged off somewhere. Another character is feeling tremendous amounts of guilt for what she's done. And they all have a large amount of baggage, all the 4 main characters, right after season 3. So you can follow that up and keep the momentum going with more Grimm, because they need to deal with these problems. But their own sort of issues aren't easily solved. But instead, it didn't do that. And yeah, it crops up in season 6, but like, that's the problem, is you had momentum.
Yeah. Realistically speaking, well, not realistically, practically speaking, my word of the day, my phrase of the day, rather, is they should have done it in season 4. Because they had a whole sequence of, hey, Ruby is having a nightmare from her traumatic experience, and Jean is shadow sparring, so to speak, while watching a video of Pyrrha. There should have been a Grimm attack in that moment.
Yes.
But there wasn't. Because they forgot Grimm did that. Or they had Crow saving their asses off screen and not telling us about it until far later.
That's why season 4 falls so flat, is because they had the momentum and the circumstances set up in such a way that they could hit it out of the park. Because the thing about this world is that when things go bad, everything collapses. That's the whole point of season 3, was we're going to make things collapse.
Why the fuck was Crow staying away again?
Because he has a bad luck semblance.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he doesn't want to give them bad luck.
Like getting them attacked by Grimm. Oh, wait.
And so what better way to show that the actions of Season 3 causing things to collapse is happening and having a real effect by focusing on the people who have the most negative emotions after that. Of this pretend peace is gone, and now we are dealing with Grimm on a level that we have not dealt with before.
Wait a fucking second. If Crow stayed away in Season 4 because he has a bad luck semblance and wanted to stay away just in case things went bad, why the hell did he hang around at Beacon in Season 3? When he knew everything was about to go bad?
Huh. I wonder why.
Oh wait, it's because they hadn't decided he has a bad luck semblance. No wait, they did. Because they kept hinting at it. So they totally knew that was his semblance. And he hung around anyway.
Yeah.
Huh. They even had him go down into the chamber with the girl who was dying. And on life support. And be right there next to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think at this point we're just kind of getting into nitpicking, or at least I am, so maybe we should just call it.
Well, I was just... Let this be just a lesson of... To everybody out there who wants to write or likes writing, that you should just use your setting as much as you can. Rather than trying to introduce new elements like these maidens or what have you, or new MacGuffins, see if you can use your setting and see what is the best way that you can utilize that setting. Talk to people. Talk to lots of people. See what they think. They'll probably surprise you with their feedback, and some of it may not be what you want, but some of it may be really helpful.
Debatably better suggestion.
Yeah.
Check your ambition.
Yes, that's also very important. Start small.
If you have a great idea and you think it's going to be great, and you have all this great setting and everything you want to build, and you have like these dozens upon dozens of cool characters you want to introduce, maybe start a little smaller than that, especially on your second project.
Write a short story first. Establish as much as you can for that short story. Write that short story. After that, write something a little bit bigger. Make sure you know what you're writing. Also, make sure to always edit your work and do multiple drafts.
Yeah, multiple drafts are kind of important. Said as someone who generally doesn't do them but agonizes over every detail as he's writing.
It can suck to do multiple drafts because, oh no, I have to do this all over again. But the best chapters I ever wrote while writing fan fiction were chapters where I had lost the progress and had to rewrite. And that has consistently been the case. Because you know what you want to write. If they had gone through multiple drafts for their scripts, talked to a lot of people that weren't affiliated with the company and hired in new people, then it would have been a very different show. But, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah. Released the trailer at the end of Season 10 of Red vs. Blue. People liked it. Cool. You've got a year.
Now, this being said, well, hindsight is 20/20. We can always take what we want or take what we can from projects like this and try to avoid the same mistakes. See, we turned this into a positive message.
Did we? We tried.
We tried. If you're not a fan of Ruby and you've been listening to this entire time, thank you for listening.
And maybe check out the H-Bomber guy video on it, because he probably says it far better than us. Though, yeah, we might have gone into the later seasons a bit more than he did. I don't think he actually talked about them much.
He sticks to seasons 1 through 3.
Yeah. Oh boy. This was a thing. It wasn't really meant to be a thing. We were supposed to be kind of just shooting the shit, and while I was grinding in Fate Go, and then that didn't happen. Well, it did happen, and then about 20 to 30 minutes in, we somehow started talking about Ruby, and then we didn't stop. Oops. I don't know, maybe bitching about writing is just kind of how I unwind at this point. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
So Littlewood's a fun game.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned it on the fucking Discord, and I was like, hey, I'll buy that. It's kind of like Stardew Valley, except, way more laid back and simple. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's pretty good.
What's it called again?
Littlewood.
Littlewood. Okay.
Yeah. As in small tree.
Yeah, I heard about that actually. I was looking at that.
Yeah. I don't really know
I'm
the
not a
scope
big
of it
Stardew
yet,
Valley.
It's a lot more laid back.
I'm not a big.
It's not a time crunch game. So It's not like Stardew Valley where, you have 6 a.m. to midnight-ish to get everything you want to get done in a day. It's you have a certain amount of actions per day, effectively.
Cool.
So, you can take as long as you want to plan out exactly what you want to do every day, do it, and then go to sleep.
I like that a lot better than the just, gotta do it, you gotta do it.
Yeah. It's a pretty good game. I like it so far. I've played about, I don't know, let me check. About 2 hours. I honestly thought I'd played more, but, not in a bad way. Yeah. It felt like a lot more time was spent on it, and it felt like I was enjoying a lot of that time. Kind of thing. I don't know how to phrase that.
I think I'll try it out.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Worth the money I spent on it, which is more than I can say for certain other games this week. Yeah. Yeah. So, I made myself sad again. I forgot about it for like an hour.
Hey, we have patrons. Let's just thank our patrons.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. Yeah, it's August. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, thank you guys for donating on Patreon. I know it's tough times right now, so thank you for still supporting us. Thank you, Buy Fresh, for that $20 donation. Thank you, Ethan F, for that $10 donation. Thank you, Ryu, for that $3.50. Thank you, Greek Guy, for the $1 donation. Thank you, Mal, for that $1 donation. Malik. Thank you, Troper, for that Tempest Troper, for that $5 donation. Thank you, Bomb BCM, for that $20 donation. Thank you to the Cross Brain for that $10 donation, and thank you to Vale for that $10 donation. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. I promise your money didn't go to not getting BB. It probably went to a takeaway instead. But thank you.
Look at this man. Look at him. Laugh at him.
Okay, well that's mean considering you got it. That's really rubbing salt into the wound, and it's even my salt that you're rubbing into it. It's
Bringing up BB when we're talking about our patrons. Hmm.
Aww. Everything is sadness.
Hey, you know what? It's not so bad. You know why it's not so bad?
'Cause I want to thank you for something of my life.
This podcast needs to end.
And all just to be with you. Something, my life.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
Neither was I. It's been 2 hours and change, so call it now, I think.
I'm amazed we had that we had a long podcast, just the two of us.
Yeah. We had a thing to talk about and nerd out about. Yeah. Thing.
Yeah. Anyway.
Fucking Dido out of nowhere. Alright.
We'll see you
public
guys.
Public Discord, link
week.
in the description. Patreon, link in the description. Feel free. Just, big Dido fans. Everyone in Discord.
If you do donate on Patreon, make sure you stop by our Discord so you can contact us and get your rewards.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.